go. Already one in the room. I already know who that is. What's up, dude? How am I chilling? Man, as best as I can. Oh, fixing to turn this truck off so it won't be too much noise. We'll give a few people some time to get into the room. I don't care if it only shows a half of one. I'm going live anyway, and you can check it out later. So, turn that down here, try to adjust all this out. Let's kill this out. Let's see. You know, as long as the audio is okay and I'm clear and you can hear me good enough, I may leave this thing running for just a bit because I think I'm going to go a little bit longer than 15 minutes on this live, and it's looking like a few people might want to hear what I have to say. It's kind of important, people. Let's see. Yeah, I had to, man. I had to blow my nose there, and then the audio is great. Okay. Yeah, well, see, the truck is running, so as long as you can hear me over the idling of that, then we're all good. And I'll leave the heat on this low or medium low here as best I can. Okay, cool. So check this out, people. I'll go through the history of it to catch people up to speed, because there's a lot of people who are not going to know what the hell I'm talking about unless I do. Back in the 80s, we had a situation where, let's see, I had to wiki it. Yeah, JD, you know, it's okay. They don't teach this shit in school. That's why I'm making some comments here, you know. So here's the, but I'm not saying I know everything about it, and I'm not saying that I have all the new intel about it, but I'm telling you that it's my understanding, and from what I've been told, that they reactivated it and they hit the switch. All they have to do is hit the switch, okay? There's a problem. It'll test itself for 15 minutes, then it'll go back out, and then it's dormant in a way, but here's the problem, it's not AI. They didn't even have AI back then. You're talking about DOS. Our lives right now are currently under the gun of a system run by fucking DOS, or something less than that. They didn't even have, you know, we're talking before that. TRS Tandy, look, the computers that were back then are garbage. Basic. There you go. You know, line 10, go to line 20, line 10, go to line 20, and then line 20, repeat loop 10. You know, that kind of bullshit. Write your own code. I mean, I understand it. I can speak it. I can write some of the older programs for it. I'm saying it's so basic, it's stupid. It's like they tried to say that you would have more software in your wristwatch than the computers that sent, you know, Apollo up. Well, okay, fine, that's fine, but I don't want that kind of software keeping an ICBM from being shot at my ass. That's just the truth of it, and that's what we have right now. So if it's that basic, and that stuff failed. See, here's the problem with sensors. If you have a sensor on a truck that senses your temperature. Just the other day I did a video, a guy had a bad sensor on the water. If you have a sensor, it could go bad. The relay could go bad to it and all kinds of things, but just the sensor alone could foul out. Now, on an air switch, on a truck, on the fan, it could go either way. If it goes out, it could make the fan run all the time. That's the good way it can go out. You'll hear it, it's audible, and you're aware of it. I am going to kill this truck here, okay? So I don't feel like I'm yelling. So then if it goes out that way, you will not overheat because your fan will be running all the time, but it'll kill your fuel mileage. The other way a sensor can go out will be that it will not let the fan switch, the fan clutch, engage and come on. That little piston in there, that relay, will not tell it to come on, and then you got a problem because you go overheat going up a hill. So if you have an old ass computer system that is controlling whether or not it shoots off ICBMs at us, you might want to make sure that the sensors on it that are supposed to sense air pressure sensor, there's an air pressure sensor on it, okay? There's a radioactive detection sensor, okay? And then there's a seismic sensor. Let's see, JD put basic and then he put all machines, and the whole production line runs simple PLC code such as basic and DOS. Yeah, that's why I brought up DOS, but it was before DOS, because really, see, Microsoft invented DOS. Here's what happened. Bill Gates was nice. Bill Gates, the guy who had a better system than him was a jerk. They wanted to land the helicopter on his land. He didn't give them permission to land, which is what you have to have, you know, is permission to land. He had a helipad. He said no. They were pissed off, and he made them circle around for a long time, then finally land, then leave, whatever. So they said, we're not going to give him the deal. So it's not that Bill Gates had the best system, okay, for Microsoft. He just had a system, and he was a nice guy. Let's see, CNC is G code, movement, and M code, machine on off. Yeah, so see, that's the problem, the machine on off. Let's just go back to this though. I didn't want to get off onto you know, Microsoft DOS versus something else. Look, it's not complicated, okay? It's really not. Every bottle of wine, except for before there was ever nuclear testing, has nuclear materials in it, okay? They may be very, very tiny, but that's how you could tell if a bottle of wine is ancient, okay? Wine turns to either vinegar or it turns into really good wine. And then it could be millions of dollars, but you could buy it for millions of dollars and uncork it and you've got vinegar. But regardless of the fact, everything that was made and put in a wine bottle after such time as there was nuclear testing can be tested and will show positive for radiation. That's just the truth of it. So, maybe we should be keeping bottled water in glass bottles, in wine bottles, and cork it, you know, for in the event of a problem. But here's the thing. You've got their system over there, dead hand. Let me start from the beginning of what happened. Ronald Reagan was seeing that they were making nuclear missiles in Russia. We were making nuclear missiles in the United States, and it was a competition, it seemed like. And so who can build the most or whatever. Okay, fine. So Ronald Reagan, he approved, I'm not gonna say he designed it. Other people, you know, there was a lot of people involved with it, but SDI, Strategic Defense Initiative, back in the 80s, he came up with that. I wanna say it was 84. I could be wrong. So anyways, and he said, we will, basically, if we do this, the idea was we would make Russia spend themselves into oblivion. And they did. They kept making more missiles, thinking they could overwhelm the system, and there'd be so many of them. And they went broke. They weren't watching the pocketbook. So, a little crazy of an idea, but it worked and whatever, and fine. Well, here's the problem. They then decided to sign a nuclear non-proliferation treaty, okay? And the INF treaty. Let's see, hang on a second here. What did one chicken to say to the other chicken? You got smoke. Okay, all right, you're in the wrong channel doing all that. Come on, simmer down. So the point is, basically, they over there, they decided to set up a program that was like a dead man switch on the best way I can describe it is on a boat or a small watercraft that jumps a bunch of jumps and stuff, or a jet ski. If you have a jet ski or a craft like that, you're supposed to have a cable on it that goes to your wrist while you're in operation of it. And then if you fall off the boat, that's the dead man. The switch will not be able to work because it disconnects from you and makes it so it won't work. It won't just turn a key and turn it off. It disconnects a switch, okay? So the problem is there's a dead man switch connected to a bunch of nuclear silos in Russia, missiles, and what will happen is when they turn this thing on, it's called dead hand, just like I put in the title, you know, and you know, they call it Perimitr. It's Perimitr with an R, and then the new Russian way of saying it is Mertvaya Ruka. Okay, so I put that in the title. So check this out. it's dead hand. In other words, if they are dead over there and they've been attacked, it will supposedly then be able to, it could be switched on, and then it will check air pressure, it will check nuclear fallout on another sensor, and it will check seismic sensors, okay? That's the part that's scary. I'll get into that in a minute. So this old ass system that they switch on at any time now, because they've now pulled out of this treaty because they made some missiles that were intermediate long range, 500 kilometers to 5,500, within that parameter that we signed the INF in 1987, that we were not going to do any more of those. Then they broke the treaty, and so Trump had to pull out. So then at that point, they've got like 6 months to come back in, but they've decided, well, since they're going to do that, it's like a tit for tat. They're going to switch back on, is what I was told. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. Perimeter, dead hand. So, the idea behind it might have been a good idea for them if they think that. It's kind of like the Samson idea with Israel. Well, here's the problem. Which they built, by the way, going back to the things that they built that were bad, were the Novator 9M729s. The NATO number for it, their designation is the SSC Sam Charlie -8. But so they broke the treaty, and now we are looking at that. If they did this, then we're under the gun of a bunch of missiles that go by sensors, and those sensors, I'll read that in a second, by the way. Those sensors could be bad, but they could also be tripped, because here's why. Chernobyl happened, okay? The whole place is a radioactive mess. My understanding is that the wind carried that stuff, even when they were doing that May Day parade that year, but it carried that stuff over all the way into the Tuscan, all the way across there, okay? And then also they have a couple of a couple of nuclear reactors in one place that they're doing all kinds of stuff at. And then of course they toted some stuff across London back then, you know, that they decided to give to someone there, and that was just a whole nother deal. So basically they walked around with some nuclear material in their pockets. If they're still doing that, then anything could set it off. You would think a seismic sensor, okay? Earthquakes happen all the time. They measured the earthquake that caused the tsunami in the Yucatan Peninsula, that it was measured like all over the place. They had one that sped the world up. It made it go faster, like a ballerina draws in and goes faster. They said it sped the world up. And even because of that, I think they had to change the GPS of some runways for some pilots to land with. So we're talking about, at any time we could have a Krakatoa event or whatever, and it could detect the nuclear stuff. They're moving uranium over there, that kind of stuff. They have all of the sensors that sense things, could all pick up a false positive for a nuclear war. And then what happens is it will shoot 4 rockets around with these, I guess they'd be UHF frequency, but they would be some type of frequency that automatically sends the nuclear launch code to these silos, and then they automatically, since they'll get the right codes, they'll send those over here and we get hit. So, and that's all based on a crappy computer system from the 80s, and when we were having good systems in the 80s, they didn't even have that great computer systems even then over there. So some TRS Tandy kind of, nothing against those companies back then. They were making stuff that was state of the art, but I don't want to be having it be trusted for my life. So hold tight though, I'm gonna check out your comments here, okay? Let's see. All right, so back to this first one. I know I read it, but I'll start there. All machines in the event, the whole production line runs simple PLC code such as BASIC and DOS, even these, is what he said. And then CNC is G code, movement, and M code, machine on off. Yeah, I know that's this. It's like a shock motion sensor. It's set on that and nuclear and hang on. Let's see here. In order to ensure its functionality, the system was originally designed as fully automatic and with the ability to decide on the adequate retaliatory strike on its own. Yeah, so, and there's no AI involved, and there's nobody to call them back. Once you send them, you can't call them back, and there's no stopping it, and there's no way to say, hey, that sensor is wrong, you know? So let's see. With no or minimal human involvement in the event at all of an all-out attack. Okay, speculations exist about this is complex system fully equipped with a variety of communication systems and sensors that control the military situation. Yeah, see, here's the problem. The problem is that sensors not only go bad, but something that could sense something. Like if you ever had a smoke detector go off, you know it's going to take you 15 minutes to fan that thing to shut it up. If you've ever had the battery die, it'll go off. That could be written into the system. If you've ever had a carbon monoxide detector go off, you know you're going to be fanning that thing for a while, and then at that point it's bad, because it's always, every time it's turned on, it's going to detect that same, it's so sensitive that once you use it, it's almost like a throwaway. So I'll go further with the comments here. So if those sensors go off, basically, even accidentally, they're shooting ICBMs at us that are, you know, hundreds of times, thousands of times more powerful than Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Let's see what we got here. In 2018, Colonel General Viktor Yeltsin, the former chief of Russia's main staff of strategic missile forces, yeah, I heard about that. Let's see, states that the Perimitr system might become ineffective in the wake of the United States withdrawal from the intermediate range nuclear forces treaty. Well, what has happened is because they broke the treaty and then we pulled out and gave them 6 months to get back in it, but they're acting like, well, since we're not in the treaty anymore, then we can do what we want. And they're building these intermediate range that can be armed with any kind of warhead, and depending on the fuel load can go up to, you know, 5,500 kilometers. So let's see. According to Yeltsin, the Americans will thus be able not only to destroy Russian nuclear weapons, but to intercept them if Russia launches missiles to retaliate. They won't get rid of them all, LOL. There's so many, man. There's like enough to, there's still so many. They've even said that we could, and they could destroy a lot more, and we would have enough as to keep as a nuclear deterrent. They did a study on that. I want to say that the Air Force did a study on that a lot of them's not needed. It says yes, some will get through. Like I said, I mean, it's enough. Let's just say that we had a really good defense system too, and let's say that none of them could get through. Even if we shot them down, then you've got a nuclear warhead in the ocean that could cause, I mean, we've already got a problem with Fukushima dumping stuff on that side, on the Pacific side, you know. We got what they call the black eye that doesn't allow nukes to hit us. I've not researched the black eye. I've got a pretty good idea about SDI, that they wouldn't have just dumped money into it, you know, and it'd be no good. And I've got a pretty good idea that, you know, we got lasers and stuff is what we've got. You know, there's different things that we can do. The thing is, though, even if we shoot them down, there's still a disaster waiting to happen. See, Russia's got a plan that they made up a long time ago, and their plan was that they've got one plan that would shoot all their missiles at us. They've got another plan right after that that would shoot biological agents at any survivors So they're not just hitting military, they're hitting us. Any survivors would be hit with biological agents that also kills the crops. Then they have technology that they've developed to come over here, and if they wanted to live over here, that they could grow crops in an area that had been hit with all that shit. That is their plan. That's on their books. A guy actually, he wrote a book back in, oh man, was it the 80s or 90s? He wrote a book about all this, and then another guy wound up going into a guy's closet that used to be in high level of Russian command and stuff before Gorbachev went in there and said basically, okay, we're not going to go that route, and he just, you know, sat on it and didn't do anything, but he decided not to, and he was more into disarming and stuff. And so that guy basically was without a job for a while, and he started taking all his research home, and he took God knows how many pieces of paper home and wound up within his closet. And then some dude who was researching all this stuff was told where it was at, and he went to reading it, and he spent like 6 years or 5 years or 6 or 7 years or however long it took, and he researched and read all this stuff and tried to put it into something that he could compile, and he wrote a book. Hang on a second here, I'm gonna read this though. Let's see. Yes, I'm gonna get through, and let's see. We got what they call the blackout. that yeah, we'll find out about that. But let's see. JD, they have bunkers. JD, we have bunkers too. They designed. My understanding is they designed a whole road to get them out there in Colorado. We don't have them. They're not for us. They have some big ones they've built for their people, but it's been kind of crazy that they've shown them. But and let's see here. Reagan Star Wars, we have it. That's the SDI system I was talking about. SDI, Strategic Defense Initiative. Well, you know, anything, it depends on what altitude they send them to. According to experts' estimates, it does not exceed the power of a 250,000 of warheads compared to nearly 2,000 warheads that Russia and the USA have at their disposal. Yeah, there's it's really, like I said, the worst. My problem with it is, oh, he put that is China. Sorry, yeah, that sounds about right. China, yeah. So the thing is that I have a problem with is that an old ass DOS system is in control, and a couple of sensors that could fail, or that could say, hey, look, yeah, we sense that there's nuclear material that's present, or radioactivity, but then Chernobyl itself has been hit. They're going to think Chernobyl was hit, the sensors will, and then once it's set off, there's no coming back from that. There's no stopping it. Let's see here. Was factoring some China into this just now not well thought out? Yeah. So, you know, who wants to be under the gun? I mean, these are the people that invented Russian roulette. Think about that for just a minute. And it wasn't that you would take all the bullets out but one. Back then, no, they used 5 in one blank chamber. So, the original one, they tried to say that it was just one, whatever. So, I mean, it's all, do the research, you can check that out. So, I'm just saying, they invented, or that's where it came from. It was originated about a story there. So, you know, you can't, somebody ordered a pizza. Does anybody need a pizza? I'm just saying. So, you know, I don't like the idea of being under the gun of a old ass program running sensors that are probably old too. Think about how bad the sensors would be back then. I mean, nowadays they have clip-on sensors that go on your pants leg, or up at your waist, or up at your neck, depending on where you want to put them, for oil field workers to sense anything, you know, gas, oxygen, that kind of thing. There's rad badges that people wear that will detect that kind of thing, that are way light years ahead what they had back then. So let's see. JD, the commander of the Strategic Missile Forces, Lieutenant General Sergei Karakayev said 5 years ago in an interview with a Russian publication, yes, the perimeter system exists. Yeah, we've known it exists, and it was in use way back and in different times. It's like if we go to a different level and we think we need to move the radioactive the war doomsday clock forward and stuff and make it closer to doomsday, then we're at a heightened sense of alert. We take precautions. Well, that was one of their things that they would go to when they thought there might be a war pop off, is they would switch that thing on. They've used it several times and switched it on, but now for them to say that they're switching it on, that's kind of messed up. So you know, not just for a few whatever. Let's see. The system is on alert. If there's a need for retaliatory strike, the command for an attack may come from the system, not people, the official said. Yeah, they switch it on, it comes on for 15 minutes and it checks everything. Then it switches itself off. Yeah, this is scary. JD, look, dude, I'm just trying to inform you. Sorry if I made you scared, and I'm just telling you the truth, man. So, but you're right, it is scary as hell. That's why I'm bringing it up. And people, we're the people. Guess what? We're the beneficiaries of this shit. We're the ones that's going to get hit. They're not going to hit military targets. They're going to hit the United States people. And then they're going to turn around and find out where we ran to and try to hit us there with biological. And then they're going to try to, I mean, it's not like you're going to look and see that there's a fire in the distance. Oh, I want to get away from that and I'm going to go survive. They're going to find you and try to hunt you with more missiles. And then they're going to radiate anything you could grow with, biological or whatever. But then they can turn around and grow stuff in it after the radioactivity. They put some other stuff in there to make that, to negate the effects of it, like an antidote for what they've done did. Let's see, all the available data about the work on the system is served with such words as probably, possibly, and so on. No one knows how the system works exactly. This last part is real scary here. Yeah, they probably don't even have technicians that can work on the equipment because it's older than hell and they didn't even pay people back then. The guy who had all of the info in his closet, the reason that came out, he died. Probably a lot of stuff died with him, but he took really good notes, and it wasn't just, hey, we're going to coffee, or, you know, minutes or whatever. It was, you know, this amount of, you know, they were trying to see how many ICBMs they could put onto their biggest rocket that they had at the time. I think they came up with something like 13 of them or something, or 30 or something, and then they would just disperse out. So they built too many warheads and I think even rockets for their silos. They didn't even have, you know, and now they've got all these countries over there that have all this material that's like, you know, they used to be part of Russia, but it's just sitting around, and they were under not even a good lock and key. Now they're under better control, and some of it got moved and stuff like that, but they say they're still finding it. It's kind of a dangerous situation even with that. But for them to have already armed warheads pointing at us, and for them to have a DOS-ass system running it, I call bullshit. So I'm just saying they need to do away with that system. Turn the switch on here. They need to do away with that system, and they need to tell them, hey, look, that's unacceptable, you know, because they could be sleeping at night, and let's just say that somebody had a barium enema before they came to work, and then they come in, they set off the radioactive sensors. Look, we have sensors for radon and for radiation in steel mills, that even if we take something there that has had some type of radon or something that has the molecular structure of steel, believe it or not, it does move. It just moves real slow, and it's porous, and radiation can go into it and charge it with radioactive material. It would be charged like a magnet. And then if you take that as scrap or as steel into a steel mill, it's going to detect it and it's going to go off. A guy had a barium enema that it was telling me about it. He was a driver. He says, man, I set that thing off and they wouldn't let me come in here for like 3 months. He was radioactive. So the metal, to protect people from putting radioactive metal in buildings, when they build buildings, they run it through the detector, the scrap that comes in, and then the I-beams that come out, they run it out of the detector on the other side. So if you've ever hauled I-beams, steel I-beams, you know, big, long, oversized, you would know that. So, but if you don't, that's fine. Now you do. So it's a sensor, and it goes off. And those sensors were even better than the sensors that they had back then. So I don't know how touchy those sensors are, but look, they had Chernobyl, and it radiated the whole place. They mined stuff out there. They have a couple other places. Dudes were carrying it in their pockets to go and take out an old Russian spy that was in London, and he radiated all of London. London, they traced him down by where he went by going to different places and detecting the radiation there. That's how bad it was. The worst was a sink in the restaurant where they put it in his tea and killed him. I want to say it's Viktor Pachenko. I think it was his name. I could be wrong. Whatever the guy's name was, don't get me wrong. Don't hold me to that. Look, forget I said that name. I'd have to look it up again. But the point is, they didn't have any suits on, any radioactive suits. They didn't have any protective wear. They just brought it in their pockets. I think it was polonium-210. They like messing with stuff, and now they're turning on all their old toys. That's what's up. So, you know, I'm gonna read a couple comments here because I've had a few, and I had to skip over them so I could talk here. Let's see where I left off here about the probably and possibly, and no one knows how it works exactly. And then this last part is real scary here. Yeah, okay. Makes you think how many other ancient doomsday devices are around still from ancient peoples too. Who knows? This is just the 80s. Yeah, civilizations have been restarted throughout history 15 times. Government just agreed to kill the people. Well, the government of Russia has agreed to kill all of us. You know, they've got a plan for it. Then they want to grow crops over here when they're done. I guess they'll use us as fertilizer. Who knows? North Korea's wanting human fertilizer right now. They put out a thing. That was crazy. So, you know, just thought I would put this out there. Russia's dead hand is now live, if you call it that, is what has been said. I'm not the one who said it. I'm just like a repeater tower, but it's out there. Little bit of homework for a nice, you know, afternoon that you can do some homework. It's Sunday now. If you have time, do it. If you're like me, you might be working. But the point is, you can check it out. Just take the title and copy and paste it and find out what I'm talking about, and then you'll be more educated in what's going on. So they're using it as an excuse, since they pulled out of the non-proliferation treaty, to turn on some old stuff that's dangerous. And like, they could be sleeping at night and it could go off and they won't even be awake to do anything about it. I mean, you ever seen a guard in a guard shack go to sleep? That's the human factor. So let's say he's the one that's supposed to be manning the ship. He's supposed to be watching that box, you know? They say that anyone can switch it on who's in there. What if the janitor's in there mopping up and hits it with his broomstick? I mean, seriously, or his mop? I mean, where do you want to go with this? The sensors could pick up what they've already irradiated themselves with, that, or what they work with and play with. You know, a shock wave could happen. They had a meteor strike in Russia. I mean, hello, that was not Tunguska, Chelyabinsk, okay? That's the name of the town in Russia, where it came in at an angle and it blew up in the sky. And then the shock wave busted out glasses and set off car alarms and all kinds of stuff, and busted out windows, and some people got hurt for miles and miles. And everybody over there has dash cams because it's so bad. Part of it was they thought that they might get hurt by, you know, some kind of a illegal activity or something, or even, you know, shook down or something. They got some weird stuff going on there, but it's become a fad for everybody to have a dash cam, and it shows that a lot of people over there wreck and it can protect them. Everybody's dash cam ever picked up that meteorite so good, so well, that the NASA was able to triangulate exactly where it came from. So it just happened. It was so fast, it just happened. But that would have set it off. That, along with maybe some, you know, the air shock wave, and then the ground sensors, because the ground sensors can pick up, you know, if you're looking for an earthquake, any type of, look, when the Twin Towers fell, they set off sensors. When anytime there's any kind of an event that shakes the ground, it's going to set off seismic sensors everywhere. It could be done by a volcano. They go off all the time. There's a whole place called a ring of fire, you know, that all these, across the edge of the water, there's land, and all of these tornadoes, all of these volcanoes create a circle around that area. And so the volcanoes create what they call a ring of fire, okay? So they go off and they create landslides and earthquakes. I mean, wait till Yellowstone goes off. So if Yellowstone goes off and they feel it in Russia, they're talking about that could be a super volcano that's gonna, you know, do whatever it does, and then the wind pressure from a shock wave goes around the world and it sets off their sensors and makes them shoot missiles at us. Wouldn't that be awesome? Have a earthquake tremor, ash falling from the sky, almost nuclear winter because of the cloud of ash, and have lava that's burning everything and falling from the sky, and then on top of it have another country shoot missiles at. That'd be great, right? So yeah, they need to not use that old ass piece of shit system over there. They need to get rid of that, because it's antiquated. It wouldn't be safe. I think that's why they only turn it on every once in a while for 15 minutes at a time, and then it shuts stuff off, and then they just turn on sometimes. I think they know how dangerous it is. It's more like Pandora's box. So it's a doomsday device, and it could doom us all. You know, like, man, am I just gonna bring y'all bad news, or am I gonna have something good on my channel? I'm just saying, but it just keeps happening. This bullshit keeps coming up, and it's on the internet, and people don't talk about it, and so I'm talking about it. So I'm gonna, hey, maybe it was your lesson for the day about what's really going on in the world. Maybe Russia will come back to the table and sign the thing and stop using that stupid shit. You know, maybe they'll even get rid of the missiles connected to it, because who needs them anyway? You know, really? They should look and see what we've done when we go to other countries. We don't do that kind of mess. We go door to door, it seems like, and at the cost of our people. That's how we conduct things, you know. If we did shoot off something and take out a whole country, we'd have less casualties. We don't operate in that way, you know. They're kind of paranoid to think that, and they're using a device that could set something off and start it in the first place. It would be preemptive if it goes off wrong. You know, I don't like being under that threat. Does anybody in the room like being under that threat? I don't like being under that threat. I really don't. You know, so they can't call them back once they're sent. They cannot be recalled, and I don't think they'll be able to get the message out before the rockets get the message to fire them. Let's see, JD put, we have been so far so good. Yeah, so far. I ain't gonna say good. We're still here, some of us. So, you know, does it have to be a coin toss all the time though? Does life always have to be a coin toss and you don't know what's gonna happen next? You know? Maybe they'll get on top of it. I doubt they'll see this video. I'm just telling people what's going on. That's all. This ain't gonna make the news. Not likely. So. I'm gonna sit back and chill for a second, then I'm gonna get off this thing. If you wanna say anything, go ahead, blow up the comments all you want. JD, appreciate you showing up. Thank you for the intel and research that you do, and you know, we live in some crazy times. I hope it all gets worked out. I got what you sent me on Venezuela. That's a whole nother story. Let's see. No problem. I thought you were going to talk about Venezuela. Yeah, well, because things happen and change from day to day. On Venezuela, I'd like to look a few things up before I even speak on it. Because if you're a day behind what's going on, you're out of the loop. You know what I mean? If you want to comment anything on there, you can. That Green Deal tweet about the PT was a joke, by the way. Oh, I don't even know. I don't even know. I just put, if that's the Green New Deal, she doesn't even know what the New Deal was. The New Deal was to restart our economy, and he played cards. He was a card player. So when you deal someone a hand of cards and it's no good, you ask for a new deal, okay? And every time you're done with a round of cards, you get a new deal. So I said, hey, if that's the Green New Deal, you can deal me out. I'm not interested. But yeah, they sent around a tweet that said that part of the Green New Deal was that all men are supposed to urinate in a jug, let it sit so many minutes, and then make tea out of it, and to save on water consumption, because they're trying to say that occasionally absent-minded Cortez is kind of crazy, batshit crazy. So let's see. Yeah, that was the joke of the day. LOL. Yeah. So glad you liked it. I put it up. So yeah, I didn't know either way. I was just like, this I can't deal with that. There is some crazy things. I hope she found Mitch. She was looking for him pretty hard the other day. They did a video on her. It's like Dora the Explorer. She needs a map and a backpack. Let's see. She did have unwilling to work economic security for you. I don't know. I don't know what that was about, you know. But winter weather coming through the Midwest this weekend. From Minnesota to Ohio and Pennsylvania, expect accumulating snow and icy road conditions. So that's what we're dealing with. People, if you have to, shut down. It ain't worth your life. I'm gonna do what I do, and I'm fixing to run to where I know I can go to. Let's see. They are staging in Venezuela, so you know. Yeah, they did some moving. Yeah, I saw what you put up, and I saw what another guy put up about they were moving some defense weapons and I guess rockets and shit like that. Yeah, I saw something that Maduro put up that almost sounded like an epitaph. It almost sounded like he was writing his own eulogy or something. You know, like, I will not ever be remembered as a something or something, right? And that was kind of weird, you know. Never seen somebody put up let's see the comment here. Yeah, beggar, I think. So I've never seen anyone. He's not a beggar. Yeah, no, I think it said something about that he wouldn't be. What was it? It was a little bit different wording, like that he would, almost like he would not be remembered as a president that didn't, you know, care about his people or something. Whatever. Maybe he knows that they're going to do something and he ain't going to do well. I don't know. I know that Russia wound up taking a good little chunk there, probably making some money off of flying some gold around for them. You know, and they even said that was just down payment. That was just to let us know that's nothing compared to what they're going to get. I think the whole thing is crazy myself. Yeah, they think that they're going to get around sanctions and that they can just keep playing checkers with them themselves, but I think they know where the breadbasket, where the food comes from. I think they know, you know, I think they have a pretty good idea that, hey, you know, we all need to work together. Let's see. Something more is going on we do not know. There's always a lot of stuff that they don't tell us. There's always a lot of stuff that we don't know about. And probably for the good, you know. Wouldn't want everybody to quit working all at once and chill at the fort living room and just say piss on the economy. You know, it looks a little bit dangerous to be anywhere but home, right? So You know, they think they can take care of stuff, they take care of it, and then it's taken care of. And they're like, ah, see, we never need to tell nobody anyways. You know, and that's one way to look at it. But if they do put it up, and people are talking about it, it's already there, there's no reason I can't compile it and put it in one place to make it easier and tell drivers what's going on, stuff that you're just not going to see on anywhere on the television dial. Or nowadays, they don't have a dial, they have a button on the remote, the clicker, you know. But I'm gonna get out of here. Anything else you want to say, JD? That's all I had, dude. Just a little something, you know, thermonuclear war, no big deal, right? Just a little something. And one of the button of a cheap ass piece of shit. But I mean, Pac-Man probably had more software in it. Let's see. Nope, sounds good. Thanks for the intel. Yeah, man, do what you do. Y'all stay safe. I'm gonna get off this thing. Learn about Dead Hand. You know, you could read up on it and see that I'm not just making this stuff out. I ain't pulling it out of some magical top hat. You know, it's real. So stay safe, stay warm.